Alrighty, so hi everyone. Thank you for attending the webinar today. My name is Lori Salazar and I work for the Center for Student Involvement. And so excited to assist our presenters today for the College of Arts and Sciences. I just wanted to give a little housekeeping and things. I am recording the session so you can review it later on our YouTube channel if you want to reference it at any point in time. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to put them into the chat and we'll try to answer them during the presentation, but then also during Q&A, we'll address some of those as well. And then also in the Q&A, you feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, but during the presentation, just keep the questions to the chat if you can. And I will go ahead and kick it off to our two presenters today. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Lori, and hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. We've got a few slides, and then I'll start official introductions. But thank you all for being here this morning or afternoon, depending on where everybody is. All right. So, hello, as I said, welcome to the College of Arts and Sciences at Santa Clara. My name is Kat Saxton. I'm an associate dean in the college, and also I've been faculty in biology and public health here since 2011. And today I'm also joined by my wonderful colleague, Allie Reimer, who works with us here in the college. Allie, are you up for a little intro?
Yeah, I am Allie, as she mentioned. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communication for the College of Arts and Sciences. And I've been a staff member at Santa Clara for 10 years now, and I am an alumna of the class of 2011.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Awesome. So today we're going to give a brief introduction to the college and some of what we think are the exciting and distinct learning opportunities both within and beyond the classroom. We'll also have plenty of time for questions, and so feel free to pop questions in the chat throughout or save them till the end if you prefer. And Allie, you'll help me keep an eye on those. All right. So I want to start with the SU land acknowledgement before we jump in. So we pause to acknowledge that Santa Clara University sits on the land of the Ohlone and the Muwekma Ohlone people who trace their ancestry through the Mission Dolores, Santa Clara, and San Jose. We remember their connection to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all Ohlone people, past and present. Next up, a quick introduction to our dean, Daniel Press, the Dean of Arts and Sciences. Daniel became a Bronco in 2020. So he joined us in the fall of 2020 when everything was remote. He came from UC Santa Cruz, where he was an associate dean of social sciences and a professor of environmental studies and sciences. He was at Santa Cruz for 28 years, and we are very, very pleased and lucky to have him as a strong advocate and leader in the college. A couple of his goals are to foster extensive student-faculty engagement. So you'll see lots of examples today of ways that faculty and students are working together in the classroom and outside of the classroom, and to create a learning and working environment that prioritizes justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Daniel talks a lot about not just how can we improve diversity in our community, but make sure and support all of our community in really thriving and feeling a sense of belonging at Santa Clara. If you guys are around early in the quarter or welcome weekend. There'll also be some chances to meet us and the dean. So hope to see you in person there as well. So who are these students in this incoming class of 2027? This is your cohort. We have 54% students of color, 50% of students are from California, and with sort of coverage of the entire US. About 10% of incoming students are the first in their family to attend college. 9% are living outside of the US from 66 different countries and regions. And 9% are Pell eligible students. So we are very excited to get to know you all. The college in particular is where we spend our time. So the College of Arts and Sciences is home to 52% of the Santa Clara undergraduate population, but all students across the School of Engineering, School of Business, and students who are majoring in the college take courses within the College of Arts and Sciences because it is where the core curriculum is housed. There are 25 academic departments and programs with over 30 majors, over 44 minors, and those seem to keep increasing as we discover new lines of study. And they're distributed. The college includes departments in the arts, humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and interdisciplinary studies. And as you will see throughout this presentation, one of the things we get excited about is the opportunity to study across all of those fields. Which is why we're going to start with interdisciplinary majors, right? So I'll give you an overview of some of the fields of study within the college and the majors that students can choose from. And one place I get particularly excited is around these interdisciplinary majors. I mentioned earlier, my faculty position is split between biology and public health. So I am used to walking in different worlds and combining courses across departments. So our interdisciplinary majors, these are the ones where within a major, there are a range of courses from different departments. So environmental studies and sciences, which can approach big questions in the environment, around climate change, around water use, around food justice, from an interdisciplinary perspective, either from sort of the natural science or social science perspective. Ethnic studies, of course, has many faculty who come from different disciplines and think about ethnic studies through different lenses. Same with women's and gender studies. Lots of cross-listed courses in both of those departments. So sort of ethnic studies and history, women's and gender studies, and public health. And public health science, which I could talk about for longer than we have here. But sort of how do we think about community health and population health from different perspectives, from a lens that incorporates sociology, anthropology, biology, neuroscience, all of these things coming together. There are also, even when students choose a more traditionally discipline-specific major, we all have the opportunity to take interdisciplinary courses, either as part of core or in your major or as just an elective. And so we thought we'd share a couple examples of those. These are some popular ones: the physics of dance, which is cross-listed between physics and the dance department. Letterpress composition, where students work with letterpress. The virtual Santa Clara, which is a collaboration between English and anthropology. Substance use and addiction is a public health and psychology course. Food culture and the environment, between anthropology and environmental studies. And these are not only a great way to think about challenges and problems from multiple perspectives, but also to sort of meet a range of students in your courses and share different perspectives based on different disciplinary backgrounds. There are many, many students that choose their path of study to incorporate multiple disciplines, and here are just a few. Maggie and Lauren in this picture on the left are presenting their work. They were double majors in art history and marketing and art history and economics, and sort of brought all of those perspectives together in this sort of art history presentation. On the right side, you can see Emma Rudder, who just graduated with a double major in neuroscience and dance. She was featured in the Santa Clara magazine, and so that's why she is dancing on the neuroscience lab table. And I think these are all great examples of sort of the opportunity in the college to discover your passions and explore your passions and combine them in ways that might be unexpected, but that are absolutely supported and possible. Now we'll run through the more sort of traditional disciplinary clusters, all of which can be combined in cool and creative ways, and where students and faculty are collaborating in creative and innovative ways within these departments as well. Right, so within the arts cluster, you can see examples of studio art. This picture down at the bottom is showing the senior art show in the gallery in our art building just next door. Creative writing, music, theater and dance. There's a dance performance, digital filmmaking. This picture down on the left is a picture of students playing music on the laptop orchestra, which is a cool collaboration and opportunity for students in music. Within the social sciences, this is where we see the majors in anthropology, child studies, communication, economics, military science, political science, psychology, and sociology. And these pictures are a couple examples of students getting outside the classroom within their majors. You have students doing anthropological research in Costa Rica, as well as this is the on-campus archaeology project. We're on the right, so students applying their classroom knowledge to sort of real-world experiences and challenges. Within the humanities, we have art history, classics, English, ethnic studies, history, modern languages and literatures, philosophy, religious studies, women's and gender studies. And these are departments that well, this is showing my bias as a public health and biology faculty member, but I always get really excited when I have advisees or students who are double majoring between sort of the science or social science and humanities, both because I think the humanities courses and disciplines are fascinating and worthy of study in their own right, but also because they bring such useful skills to our students who are going out into the world in whatever they're going to study, right? So double majors in public health and English who are going to use their writing skills in health communication forum, or students who are studying history and biology and helping where an understanding of history can help them in their sort of future medical career and understanding how things got to be the way they are. And we have a number of great faculty and opportunities and student collaborations in these areas as well. The natural sciences, right? This is where biology, chemistry, biochemistry, environmental studies and sciences, math and computer science, neuroscience, physics, engineering physics, and public health. There is, like in the other disciplines, a culture of students getting involved in faculty research, in faculty projects. You can see here students out in the field, literally out in the field, collecting samples of grasses. I believe that picture is from a study on sort of climate change and the changing landscape and grasses in California. Down below, a biochemistry lab, Amelia Fuller, chair of the chemistry department, working with the student. I'll also just point out that some of the majors that you'll see on this list grew out of student interest. So neuroscience and public health are both relatively new majors because there was so much student interest in those areas that we sort of developed curriculum and departments or programs to support that. Same with ESS, I suppose, though they've been around a little longer. And if I can give you one piece of advice about these courses and these options, is that you can double major, you can add a minor. If there are multiple things that are exciting, go for it. There is plenty of space in a Santa Clara student schedule, especially in the College of Arts and Sciences, to study multiple things and to figure out how to combine the study of different disciplines into something that is uniquely you and that you're really excited about. A piece of advising advice, one of the ways that's possible is that lots of classes overlap between core requirements and major or minor requirements. So if you sort of look at the list of classes you're expected to take, how can this possibly fit into 4 years? There are lots of opportunities to what we call double dip, where your major requirements may also fulfill a core requirement, for example. So please talk to your academic advisor, make an appointment, get to know them. Your faculty are here for you and want to help sort of shape and craft a meaningful academic experience. So reach out to your academic advisor if they don't reach out to you early and often. We want to talk. So we've talked a lot about sort of in the classroom major options. I do want to now move a little bit into sort of student opportunities outside of the classroom. And again, a quick reminder, if you have questions, keep them coming in the chat. So because Santa Clara in the College of Arts and Sciences doesn't have any graduate students on campus, we faculty work very closely with undergraduates, and there's, I think it's a special opportunity to really contribute in a meaningful way to research because, or scholarship or creative activity, because the undergraduate students are the only students in that research team. There are chances for leadership opportunities within research team presenting at conferences and so on, as you'll see. So this is just one example of a student who presented with their faculty mentor at a international research conference. This is Lang Chen, who's psychology faculty and also neuroscience, and Anna Riggs, who presented at the International Society for Autism Research Conference. And they were looking at, Anna was presenting research on sort of brain connectivity in people living with autism, and both in terms of behavioral and you can see the neuroimaging results. Here's a project that I was actually tangentially involved in. This is a project that involved students and faculty from public health as well as religious studies, and focusing on the experiences of unhoused people in Santa Clara County when homeless encampments are removed by the county or the city. So a number of students, you can see their majors on the left, spent hours talking with unhoused people about their experiences, conducting qualitative interviews, and wrote it up for a publication last year. This project is ongoing and involves a number of other different sub-projects, but is one example of the ways students can get off campus and involved in the local community, and through a lens of social justice and recognizing the disparities in experience within Santa Clara County. This project also, I just have to add, also is another piece of this project is in collaboration with the Santa Clara County Public Defender's Office. So I think there are also opportunities for students who are interested in pursuing a career in the law or policy as well. Just run through a few more examples. There's project-based learning in courses and outside of classes in math and computer science. Here you can see students building something, again, to solve real-world problems. Theater productions. This is a picture from a rehearsal of a tiger in Central Park. Students won the Ethics Bowl last year. That was exciting. The Markkula Center for Ethics also has lots of opportunities for students to get involved in ethical projects and questions from in a range of different ways. We have the Imaginarium and Wave facilities where students can work with high-powered computing systems, whether it's through VR or there are students designing video games, other faculty using the facility for intensive computing, all with this perspective to emphasize social responsibility, collaboration, and engagement. So trying to connect sort of the cutting edge technology with social justice and collaboration and engagement. And so the Imaginarium and Wave are facilities that are used both in classes as well as research projects and student projects. There are also many opportunities to connect art and activism. Here's a picture from when Dolores Huerta visited campus. Dolores Huerta, labor and civil rights activist, was involved in a theater production and a panel discussion afterwards, after the theater production. Here she is with some students. And there are, of course, the programs for students to get involved outside of the classroom. From study abroad, certainly encourage students to investigate study abroad opportunities. There are lots of options to connect a study abroad opportunity to your major, and lots of support from the Global Engagement Office. Immersion programs are shorter experiences run through the Ignatian Center, usually for a week, where students go and are immersed in a community, either locally or farther away, right? So I think they have one in San Jose, the US-Mexico border, and there's one in Flint, Michigan this summer, and other parts of the world as well. And there are ongoing experiential learning and internship opportunities, which we'll talk about in a second. So the REAL program, Real Experience Applied Learning, is a program in the college that provides funding for students to do what would otherwise be unpaid internships or research experiences over the summer or creative projects. There are hundreds of students, I think it's fair to say, that take advantage of this program each summer. And there are opportunities in every major. Some are with faculty on campus or off campus. Some are with local community organizations. You can also get funding to work with organizations that are farther away if you're not from the area or you're unable to stay in the area. They're sort of an umbrella funding opportunity for students to do really cool things, which may not otherwise be paid. So it's a great program. In the past, it's involved poster presentations, as you can see here, for students who are on campus over the summer or near campus over the summer. There's some additional professional development support and ongoing meetings and mentoring. We have to, of course, mention that students in the college win nationally competitive awards. We had 5 students win Fulbright Awards last year, and here's their picture. But also looking at the range of academic experiences that they had, almost all double majors and combining interesting things, right? Biology and environmental science, finance and poli-sci, English and psychology, history and ethnic studies, English, that the students who are really excelling in these nationally competitive awards are from across the college, doing a variety of things, coming from different disciplines and combining their own courses of study in interesting ways. Here are a few more. There are also students who've won prizes or awards in these other areas as well. Again, some of these Beckman and Goldwater scholars are sort of STEM focused. So you'll see biochemistry, chemistry, environmental science, physics, math, neuro. So this is my favorite, though, is the neuroscience and music Goldwater scholar. So through all of these sort of examples and opportunities, I think what's really important to faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences is that sort of instilling these critical skills in students that then helping students develop these skills that then are transferable and applicable in whatever students decide to do. So, emphasizing creativity and innovation, risk-taking, being willing to sort of step outside your comfort zone and take some risks, collaboration, working together. You notice that most of those examples of students working outside the classroom, students were working in teams, collaborating with faculty, and of course, critical thinking. That these are the most desired skills from future employers, and they're intrinsic to the experience of the college education. I'm about to wrap up and then answer questions, so I will leave you with a few resources. There are so many resources for support on campus, and encourage new students to either keep a list for when you need it, or seek these out early and often. Your academic advisor is a wealth of information, and we are here to have your back. You can find your academic advisor on Workday. If you know what your major is likely to be, you can also, or if you're curious about exploring different majors, you can reach out to the department chair. They are happy to talk to prospective students for their major, or students who have already decided to choose that major, or they can point you to someone who may be even better aligned with your interests. The Drummond Advising Center, they are wonderful. The advisors in Drummond work with students from all across campus. They are great if you haven't quite figured out what you want to do, or if you have sticky situations or you're trying to make multiple things work. They know how everything works. So Drummond is a great resource as well. And once you get to campus, the Writing Hub and the Math Learning Center are really, really valuable for sort of student support, tutoring, helping with a paper, helping if you don't remember that math from high school, if you need to catch up or you're feeling a little stuck. So encourage folks to take advantage of all of those things as well. Right. And with that, my official presentation comes to an end. How are we doing with questions?
We haven't had people submit too many in the chat, but I have some of the pre-submitted ones that we can kind of start running through if that works.
Yeah, let's
so
do it.
just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we can get those going into the, we can have Kat or myself or Lori, depending on what the question's about, answer those. So we had some course related questions come in, the pre-submitted questions. So one of the things that people were interested in learning was, what is the workload for each class, average time spent in the lab, and how are tests in general?
That will vary a lot by department and student and course level. But I think the big change from sort of high school to college is that so much more work the college level is done outside of class time. So should expect to spend multiple hours outside of class on each class. The lab question is a little bit interesting. It'll depend on the class. So labs are scheduled, lab courses will have lab time scheduled. And at least in the sort of the intro level courses, most of the time spent in lab is the lab time. You're not expected to come into the lab for many additional hours. It's mostly supervised lab time. But again, there's homework, there's lab reports, there's preparation, sort of before and after. There's a question about tests in there as well. That's going to depend very much on the class and the department. So my advice would be the first day of class, get your syllabus, look for that section, figure out how each professor plans to handle tests and assignments. There are some classes that might not have any tests at all. There are others that may have take-home tests or in person.
I would say as a follow-up to that, kind of in general, maybe expect there's going to be midterms around, weeks 5-ish, 4, 5, or 6, middle of the quarter, and then finals at the end, just as a general kind of schedule, if you will. But like Kat said, every class is different. So we had something come in the chat. Someone asked, will there be department meet and greets during orientation weekend? For example, all majors with the department chair.
That is a great question. There will be some college meet and greets where some of the departments will have faculty. Departments do things differently. And so this might be an unsatisfying answer. Some departments will have sort of fall welcome events, maybe a chance to meet the other students and meet the faculty. Other departments may not. So I think that would be a question for the individual department chairs.
We've had a couple of questions about books and stuff for classes. So will we get a list of some books or stuff to get for the major, like a lab coat or particular books? And follow up to that, should we purchase books before the first day of classes?
So the list of books should, gosh, I don't know how this works in all the new systems. Allie or Lori, I don't know if you want to jump into. So the books will be specific for the classes that you're signed up for. And each professor sort of submits a list of books that are expected for each class. Those will be on the syllabus and on hopefully on the Camino, the site for the course. I believe, I don't know how it works in Workday now. They have a new system. It used to be last year that I think you could see your courses when you signed up for them, your registration would sort of have a link to the bookstore where you could see which books were required, but I'm not sure how that works this year, to be honest. Professors will tell you, they will tell you early on. And same with sort of lab coats and other supplies that are expected.
Yeah, I don't have any information about how it's going to work this year as well, since we are just with the new system. But if you do have access to the list, if that comes up in Camino or Workday or whatnot, I would say it's probably a good idea to get the books beforehand, and you can do that through the bookstore on campus. I believe you can order them online. And so that's always good to be prepared if you can. Otherwise, you should for sure get that information on the first day of class.
Yeah, I would add, if you can purchase your books before the first day of classes, that would be ideal. Some professors will have readings expected, for the second day of class, and it can be stressful to try to scramble to get access to books while you're also trying to get settled.
Someone had a follow-up question from one of the things we talked about earlier related to the test. She says, how are the essays or report tests and assignments like?
Again, this is going to depend so much on the department, right? So if you're in a math class, it could be weekly homework with a couple of tests and a final. If you're in my introduction to public health class, it will be weekly small assignments, some of which will be sort of larger quizzes, but not any official tests, because I think midterms are stressful. If you're in your introduction, your CTW and CNI, your core classes will involve a lot of reading and writing, and likely drafts and revisions. So it'll depend on the classes that you're in, and that information will be available on the syllabus and the Camino site from the professor.
So we also got some, going back to the pre-submitted questions, a number of questions about advising. So one student was interested in how quickly classes fill up and what are options or alternatives if a student can't get into the course that they want.
Sure. So some classes fill up very quickly, and it might not be possible to get in your first quarter because there are some courses that are sort of in demand by older students, and you haven't quite caught up with enough available seats. So I would say, first of all, if you can't get into a class that you want right away, don't panic. Talk to your advisor, see if there's another course that might be an option. You can also ask to be added to the wait list for a course. As students sort of shuffle their schedules in the first week of class, oftentimes spots open up. So you can email the professor of the course you want to get into and ask to be added to the wait list. But often those classes will be taught multiple times in a year, or if not, you could take it in your second year. And it can be really stressful not to get the classes you want right away, but be reassured it will work out, and it will get you in there one way or another. It will get you through.
I'll also add that depending on what your major is, some majors do get preferential registration. So if you have declared a major and you know that's what you're studying, you'll be able to enroll in classes for that major earlier than when it's open to the entire university to enroll. That's not necessarily the case for every single major that we have, but it is for many of the majors that have classes that are generally pretty popular for everyone at the university.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Allie. And that also brings up, if you know that you want to major in something and you're struggling to get into classes, but you haven't actually declared that major yet, it's worth filling out the form on the registrar's website to officially add the major, which then opens up those pre-registration options for you.
Another pre-submitted question we have was, what support is there for students if they decide to pursue a different major? Can you just maybe talk about the process for switching majors or adding majors, minors?
Yeah, I'm also going to stop sharing my screen for a second. So Changing majors is very common, either changing completely or adding a major or adding a minor. There is a form on the registrar's website, su.edu/registrar forms, that you fill out to do that. It is called, is it the program petition form? I can find it. But it's an online survey. You just say you want to add this major, and or you want to drop this, or you want to drop a major. And when that happens, an email is sent to the department that you're adding, and then they'll reach out and set you up with an advisor and pre-registration information, all those things. I would suggest talking to either your current academic advisor or someone in Drammen before changing majors, just to make sure you have all your questions answered, and requirements can change if you between majors, and sometimes that affects core requirements. And so just making sure you stay on track as you're going through those changes is important, and your advisors are here to help.
Someone from the chat asked, will the courses and their syllabi be available on Camino?
Yes.
For the classes that they're registered in.
Yes. I can't tell you when they'll be ready. Faculty are getting them prepared as we speak. So some may be ready with plenty of time before the quarter. Some may be like pushing the publish the course button the morning of your first class. They will be available on Camino, but they may not be yet.
Someone asked, would we be able to switch majors and add minors right now?
I think so. Once you're a registered student, once you're in the system.
I would say it doesn't hurt you to like stay where you're at, whether if you've chosen to major in something, or if you're undeclared, it's not gonna dock you, so it doesn't hurt you to not take that action yet. So I wouldn't stress too much about it, but certainly you can kind of do your research and see all the options that you have. And just because you are declared as one major doesn't mean that you have to take classes in that major right away. So you definitely have time to figure that out.
And that's where I'd again suggest talking to an advisor before you do that. And get on campus, get settled.
Some other pre-submitted questions came in regarding advisors. So, will students be provided with one specific academic advisor for their first year? And kind of what do the support services look like for that advising for students?
Yeah, so students are assigned an academic advisor for their first year. And if you have declared a major and you stay with that major, then your advisor will stay the same unless you request to change it. Undeclared students are assigned an advisor for their first year, and that person may change once you do declare a major if there's someone in that department who's a better fit. And also, all students do have access to Drammen Advising Center, both as just a second opinion, someone else to talk to. Sometimes they may be available more quickly than your academic advisor, who knows, but they're a really great option for students across all majors.
So someone in the chat asked, how can we find out who our advisor is?
So it will be listed in Workday. I'm not sure how students access it, but I imagine there are instructions on like the Santa Clara /Workday website. There are, as a faculty member, I can look up students' advisees by going to their record in Workday, and then it's listed as a support team or something, and it lists your academic advisor. Again, new system.
I'm putting a link to the Workday academic website into the chat, which has a bunch of information on academics. I don't know if the specific way to find your advisor is in there, but that's a good place to start. And I would say if you can't find it as you're exploring, email the Drawman Center. I put the link to their website in the chat earlier, but I can re-put it in there, and they will definitely be able to help you find who your advisor is.
And I just added another link to the chat as well. The Workday Student Training Guides for Students. There are a number of just sort of overviews of like, how do you add your emergency contacts or change your contact info, release your records to your parents, find your academic progress report. Between the three of those links, you should hopefully be good to go.
Yeah. So there were definitely some pre-submitted questions about study abroad.
Can we
just
answer the question about transfer student advisors? So yes, transfer students will be assigned an academic advisor as well. You should be able to find it in Workday. Also, for transfer students, the chair of the department you're majoring in they all know who all their incoming transfer students are and should be ready and available to answer questions. So you can always email the department chair if you have questions as well.
Okay. Let's see. So study abroad, there was a few questions that came in about that. Are there countries that are recommended for study abroad? And what kind of programs do you generally have access to?
So many options. So I would encourage anyone interested in study abroad to check out the Global Engagement website. And they have a database of all the study abroad programs that Santa Clara students have access to. There are so many different countries you can visit. It's just a matter of one, is there a part of the world where you would like to spend time? Are you interested in really improving your language skills and going to a country where a particular language is spoken? Are you looking for a particular academic type of program, in which case you can sort of sort their database through by, like, I want to study, I'm going to go back to the public health example again. If a public health student wants to study abroad, there are programs with specific courses or trainings or experiences in public health everywhere from the Netherlands to Thailand to there are where else have students gone? Brazil, sort of all around the world. So it really depends on what you're interested in doing and the type of experience you're interested in having. Some programs are more sort of, you're at a big university in a city in another country. Other study abroad opportunities, you're sort of more community-based and sort of spending time out in the field or out and doing community work. So check out all the options. They also have info sessions, and they're happy to meet with students to talk about options. And I will say most students who go abroad do it the fall of their junior year. So just for timing's sake.
Okay, so some other pre-submitted questions. What kind of volunteering or internship opportunities or resources are available for students? And this person in particular was asking as an aspiring physician.
Again, so many options. So the REAL program is a great place to look for internship opportunities. And lots of majors will have sort of departmentally supported internship opportunity. Some majors require internships, and so there's support for sort of helping students find those and get matched with them. But there are so many volunteer opportunities. Also, there are student clubs that organize volunteer opportunities. SCAP is a student organization that has a wonderful network of opportunities in sort of volunteering, community work, and advocacy across a range of areas. And so I would say check out student groups and student clubs. Lori, is there like a student involvement fair? Like, do they do tabling?
Yes,
well
there'll
student
be
clubs?
a student involvement fair Thursday of week 1 from 6 to 9 out on the Big Lawn by Benson and SCDI. So about 170 or so student clubs will be there, and you'll be able to see some of those student organizations that you were talking about that do like advocacy or social justice, volunteer, community service. Then also ones towards like your major, special interests. So there's quite a variety that will be there.
Yeah, and those are great ways to get to know people as well and get great experiences volunteering out in the community or doing other things. On SCAP, SCAAP, add that to the chat too.
Okay, we have a few more minutes. I'll go back to the pre-submitted questions since we haven't had any new ones come into the chat. So someone asked about if students are involved in the performing arts, is it realistically possible for them to be involved in other groups, such as clubs or campus ministry?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, maybe not quite as heavily involved during a performance run, but yeah, I would say a lot of our students who are involved in the performing arts are also doing other things. And that's one of the advantages of majoring in the college, that it works. You can do that. Little time management goes a long way, but yeah, students.
I would also add that if you're not majoring in the performing arts, but you're interested in it, there's also opportunities for you to get involved without having to be a major. So, you know, if you're majoring in biochemistry, for example, but you have always enjoyed singing or performing in a musical, playing a musical instrument, there are opportunities for you to join ensembles that are run out of the music department or the theater department that you can participate in. And some of them are require auditions, some of them don't. So you can do that without having to major in that area. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to kind of craft, you know, what you're interested in and make it work while you're studying here.
Absolutely.
Okay, we had a parent ask a question, and I don't know how many people are parents versus students here on this event, but is there a way for parents to view students' grades, or like, are there waivers that have to be signed? What does that access look like?
Yeah, so for parents to have access to student records, we need a FERPA waiver to be filled out, and on that, there are instructions for how a student can do that. It's be initiated by the student. On the Workday student training site that I put in the chat before, so complete a FERPA release is the training guide to follow. So it shows you how to go into Workday, how to find the waiver, and how to fill it out. It's simple. It just can be a little tricky to find the right spot. Thank you, Lori.
We had another question pre-submitted that is asking about kind of the typical path of coursework taken on in a student's first year, and you know what that looks like versus taking core classes versus major specific classes if they're declared already.
I don't suppose it mentions which department we're talking about.
It didn't say a specific department.
So because it will vary, right? So in the first year, almost all students, a few exceptions, will take their critical thinking and writing sequence. So that's 2 courses, and their cultures and ideas first sequence, which is another 2 courses. Then many students will take other core courses as well, maybe the first religion course, maybe a second language if they're trying to keep up their study from high school, maybe a math class. There are most majors will also have sort of an introductory series or set of classes, right? So, and this is where the core versus major courses balance depends on the department. If you are a biology major, you'll be taking your CTW C&I, intro chemistry, you'll start your intro bio series, you'll probably be taking math, and that'll probably fill up your first year. If you are a a public health student, you'll take your CNI, your CTW, maybe 2 public health classes, and then courses from other departments. Could be core, could be other things you're interested in, could be courses from other departments that would count towards your major. So there's at least 4 of your first year classes will be core, and then likely some more beyond that, balanced with your major courses. I'll just put in a plug that I think sometimes students in their first year are get a little too locked into checking off things they think they need to be doing, and that there is usually space for an elective or 2 somewhere in there, and maybe that elective counts for core. Maybe it sort of helps you discover if you want to study something in addition to your declared major. So try to make some space for exploration as well.
I've definitely gotten a few questions in the chat about finding the course list and books for classes. So we don't know the direct answer, unfortunately, but I would recommend, if it's not coming up automatically in your workday or in your Camino, to reach out to your advisor. And if you can't find your advisor, reach out directly just to the Drawman Center, and they'll be able to connect you with your advisor. But
I also just looked up the bookstore's website. So the SCU bookstore has a link to like find your fall quarter course materials. You can create an account with the bookstore with your Santa Clara email address, and then that looks like it will know which courses you're enrolled in and which books you need. Or if you know the courses, you can look up the courses and it will tell you which books are required.
Perfect. Will you put that in the chat?
Will.
That sounds like a much better answer than what I was giving people. So thank you, Kat. So it looks like we're about up with time. Does anybody have any other questions really quick that we can answer? If not, thank you for joining us today. And as Lori mentioned in the beginning, we'll have the recording available for you on their YouTube. Lori, if you don't mind also putting that in the chat so that they can find that after the fact. And as Kat mentioned at the end of her presentation, you can reach out with any other questions that you have to the general college email, which is cas@scu.edu, or you can email Kat directly or myself directly. Yeah, thank you.